of IREV in our results management process. The problem is totally due to technical hitches related to scaling up the IREV from a platform for managing off-season state elections to one for managing nationwide general elections. It is indeed not unusual for glitches to occur and be corrected in such situations. Consequently, the Commission wishes to assure Nigerians that the challenges are not due to any intrusion or sabotage of our systems, and that the IREV remains well secure. Our technical team is working assiduously to solve all the outstanding problems, and users of the IREV will have noticed improvements since last night. We also wish to assure Nigerians that results from polling units, copies of which were issued to political parties, are safe on both the BVAS and the IREV portal. These results cannot be tampered with, and any discrepancy between them and the physical results used in collation will be thoroughly investigated and remediated in line with Section 65 of the Electoral Act 2022. While we fully appreciate the concerns of the Republic on this situation and welcome various suggestions that we have received from concerned Nigerians, it is important to avoid statements and actions that can heat up the polity at this time or promote disaffection towards the Commission. We take full responsibility for the problems and regret the distress that have caused the candidates, political parties, and the electorate. So that's the statement signed by Festus Okoye Esquire, as the National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee. So that's the statement from INEC there, explaining the concerns that have been raised with the IREV. I'll take a quick break here on Nigeria Decides here on the Joy News channel. We'll be back shortly with the probe. Make sure that you continue to tweet at us. It's on all our social media platforms. On Twitter especially is hashtag Nigeria Decides, your election headquarters. I am Mefapa. We'll be right back. We'll get into the probe. Please stay. Welcome back. This is Nigeria Decides. It's a day after voting. We know that voting was done today as well in some parts of the country. We've been talking extensively about Nigeria deciding, and already is only one state that we have out of the 36 states official results that has been declared from Ekiti. We now know because of the lowest voter registration turnout, reason why we have Ekiti results, and we've been told that up until 11 a.m. tomorrow, that's after the INEC declaration, they told us that we'll get the next results. But it's been an election that has seen a high turnout, especially among young people who make up about a third of the 87 million eligible voters. So the election has seen an unprecedented challenge of the two-party system that has dominated Nigeria for 24 years. We're seeing 18 candidates, but as it stands now, it turns out to be more like a 3-horse or 4-horse race. You won't be wrong. That's a 3-horse race largely between Peter Obi from the previously little known Labour Party. We have Bola Tinubu from the ruling All Progressive Congress Party, that's the APC. We also have Atiku Abubakar of the main opposition, People's Democratic Party, that's the PDP. All are seen as potential winners, but the results that we've seen so far from just Ekiti, Tinubu in that lead. So undoubtedly, it's been touted as the tightest election in Nigeria since the end of military rule in 1999. Don't forget, a candidate needs to have the most votes and 25% of ballots cast in 2/3 of Nigeria's 36 states to be declared the winner. Otherwise, there will be a runoff within 21 days, a first in Nigeria's history. So this is the probe as we speak. We've just entered the probe here on the Joy News channel, and we are live on Joy 99.7 FM for our radio audience, and it comes with over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on myjoyonline.com also, and then also on all our social media platforms. Earlier, I've been interacting via Zoom. Kingsley Bassi is a broadcast journalist in Nigeria, painting that whole picture for us. We'll get into some of the details that have come up. Kingsley Ozoma is with Election Security Management Consultant, Mosecon Africa in Abuja, Nigeria. Austin Aigbe was the last we heard from. He's with the West Africa Democracy Solidarity Network, WADEMOS. He's a member in Nigeria. And also, Peter McMenu is a leading member of the ruling NPP. He's been a campaign chairman for the NPP. Also, with the Democratic Union of Africa, he is an election observer with them. Also, Gbolahan Olojede is a political analyst, also will join us shortly, and then we'll continue the discussion right here. Don't forget to tweet at us, like I said. Nigeria Decides is your election headquarters. This is Joy News, and it's time for the probe now. I am Emefa Apau. Welcome once again. Don't forget, be interactive as well as we talk about Nigeria. So we start off this particular session right here, Nigeria Decides, and thankfully Mr. Peter McMenu has joined us. He's been busy with the Democratic Union of Africa as an election observer. He's been everywhere when it comes to elections in Africa. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Peter McMenu. You'd have to unmute so we can hear you, Mr. McMenu. We'll try again. Do we have Mr. McMenu joining us via Zoom?
Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful. We can hear you loud and clear. Good to see you too, Mr. McMenu. I know you've been up and about. Tell me about your observations in Nigeria so far. You were there way before the elections, monitored elections. It's a day after, and we're still going on. In just a few minutes, I'm sure you can sum up what has been like in Nigeria so far.
Well, thank you very much. You know, elections is a process. The process began with the registration of voters, the PVC distribution, how time and again there were calls on INEC to extend the time for people to collect their PVCs, which will enable them to vote. These were done. The political parties themselves went into primaries and nominated candidates, which were then sent to INEC to enable them prepare for the printing of ballot papers. These had been done. Then comes a few days to the D-Day, where logistics distribution and security distribution and mapping had all been done. So on the eve of the election, we expected a peaceful, orderly election. And as a matter of fact, I would say INEC has done its bit, because there are other major stakeholders who are also to contribute their bit. I will call on the political parties, the campaign teams, the citizenry, the media, like your good self. You all have roles to play in making an election successful. So for now, there have been pockets of violence here and there, but yesterday, on my rounds to the polling units, it was orderly. The day before, at dawn, at the registration area centers, where in the morning, election materials were distributed to the polling units. The vehicles were there, the drivers were there, but mind you, there are problems of fuel. So that could also lead to some kind of delays. I can't tell for now. There are problems with cash. The bank exchange of notes can have effects on INEC, on political parties, how they will pay their agents, and on how the drivers and their mates can load and unload the election materials from INEC to the various polling units. So you have to take all these into a holistic consideration to be able to know whether some polling stations were late in opening. But these are some of the reasons. However, INEC promised, and they did, that even if they are late, they will extend the time beyond the normal 2:30 p.m. when they are supposed to close. Nigeria has a huge voter population, 93 million, and about 93% collected their PVCs. So it's a huge task. But nevertheless, when you break it down into the 37 states, the 774 local government areas, which in Ghana we call districts, and you come to the wards, and you come to the 176,000 plus polling stations, then it becomes manageable. So far, INEC has done its bit, but like I said, election is a total cooperation from all angles: political parties, civil society, media, security, as a matter of fact. And I think they have done their best. Let's look up what will happen in the next few days.
Well, many will disagree with you, at least from what we've heard so far when it comes to INEC doing its bit because of the concerns that have been raised with IREV, with the BVAS, amongst others, which we'll get into, because we just read a statement from INEC so far on the concerns when it comes to the IREV. I don't know what your observations have reviewed when it comes to that, because I know you've been interacting extensively with INEC when it comes to IREV and why people are not getting the results as it ought to be, like we had agreed before the elections.
Okay, BVAS, I think it worked all right. There are a few areas, but even with BVAS, INEC ensured that all registration area centers, RAC, or which we call ward level in Ghana or electoral area in Ghana, has technicians and backups for the polling stations under the RAC. So where there were any difficulty or malfunctioning of a BVAS, within a short distance, there were technicians and replacements that could solve the problem. But when you come to IREV, I think there's a problem there, because I myself went on the portal and it was difficult to access it. However, when the questions were put to INEC member, Mr. Okoye, he said it's a technical question and that he has to rely or find out from the technicians. So let's look at what will happen tomorrow. I believe that the traffic was too much on the portal. So it could be the reason, because the senators and the House of Reps portal were displaying the numbers and the result sheets, except the presidential. So either the traffic was too much to bear or something else. We should not prejudice what they are doing. No, we cannot conclude. It's too early. It's too early. Let us be patient and look at what's going to happen.
But as observers, does it not raise concerns about confidence in INEC, for instance, because all of a sudden we are not getting results. You've been able to declare a kitty as a result, and all these concerns, does it not raise confidence issues in INEC, you say?
INEC, before the election, one of the civil society groups did a research or a polling, and Nigerians, 60% of them said they have trust in INEC. I think 60% is a good number. I would say it's a good number. So they should build on that trust and deliver. However, if there are some issues beyond, because like I said, it's not only INEC, though they are the electoral management body and they are in charge of the management of the election. They need assistance from security, from media, from political parties, from campaign team, etc., to give a holistic response and report on the elections. So much as I will agree with you, I think time is too early for us to put a blame game only on the shoulders of INEC. If there are no diesel, if there are no cash to pay for drivers who are delivering electoral materials, would you blame that on INEC? So we have to be careful about the way we put blame on the shoulders of INEC.
Okay. Well, Mr. Austin Aigbe, for instance, you have raised the concerns about some of this confidence levels and some of these hitches poses when it comes to the confidence in INEC, for instance. Listening to the explanation that INEC has given, also listening to Mr. Peter McMinu raising all the concerns. When you put all these gamut of concerns together, you cannot blame INEC solely for the situation, can we?
So just so you understand, due respect to the chair, and is my chair, Peter McManu, is well respected here in Nigeria because of the work he has done far back in 2015, before 2015. Now, just so you people also know, Peter McManu has observed Nigeria's election. I think it's the 4th or the 5th or 6th time he's come to Nigeria to observe the election.
We lost you briefly, but we can hear you now.
Yes, thank you. I said Peter McManu is well respected in Nigeria. Is someone who has observed elections. This is like the 5th or the 6th election he has observed. He played a huge role in Nigeria's election in 2015 by helping to strengthen political parties in this country. And is one person that is well respected here, particularly among the political actors. So he speak, you hear him speak about what ought to be. That's what I hear. And with all due respect to the very senior political figure, is also to state that you don't need scarcity of resources to upload from EC8A. We had issues with logistical movement. That is okay, because there were huge issues, and I have not mentioned logistical challenge, because you can't put that on INEC totally. There are a number of other challenges, security challenge, you can't put that on INEC. But for inability to deploy and implement what you have already signaled as the only and most important of the entire architecture is the BVAS and the IREC, because most of the people, including me, do trust the electronic. I mean, I am. In fact, I live online, so this is not internet. We are saying upload when you are done, and the only sense of taking a picture of the from EC8A is to avoid any form of hacking. INEC in Ekiti, after the Ekiti Obsequio election, INEC had told us that there were attempts on their server from far away in Asia and Israel and all of that. Is that what has happened now? INEC need to tell us. You can't tell me that a statement was released and the statement shows that it was a national scale and all of that. Did you know that you are running an election that is national scale? Did you just know that we are running an election of a 176,000 plus polling unit? We didn't just know. We knew that we were running this election February 25th, far back a year ago. So at what point did we suddenly know that it was a national level election? That we did not prepare for the bandwidth or the server or whatever name you want to call it to be able to accept those from online. I am saying that it's a trust issue.
Okay.
And when you have trust deficit, it has implication. I believe INEC has not failed, but the commission must investigate and prosecute quickly whoever was responsible for that malfunctioning. And when you are prosecuted, you have to then wait and upload those results as soon as possible. Amapi is already coming. We are talking about 176,000 polling units. We don't know, as of this moment, we don't really know how many polling units where polling are held, because we have to also interrogate, because there are commentaries from the southeast about certain issues of arrival of materials, which you can give to logistical issues and payment. If INEC then tell us that the logistical problem is due to currency issues, then we can focus our attention on the CBN. Let's not make it look as if we don't know what we are doing. We do know what we are doing. We have engaged INEC in the last 1 year on this issue. And we have been on top of this issue for too long. INEC must, the commission, with all due respect to the chair, whom I have some kind of personal relationship with, is that relationship is okay. But Nigerian state is what we need. We need to save our country. And I'm passionate about this country, Nigeria.
Okay.
Beyond the giant of Africa, it is truly the motherland of Africa.
But when INEC says in a portion of a statement, for instance, that it is important to avoid statements and actions that can heat up the polity at this time or promote disaffection towards the commission, you agree?
That is, when you make that comment, you have to also be responsive to the comment. There are already commentary. There's a press statement already released by one of the parties claiming that the inability of INEC to upload those results on the IRF is signaling something that is manipulative. That is going to be, right now, I told you, when you go online, particularly on Twitter and Facebook, there's a trending, ringing election that is there. Why do we have to open up ourselves to those kind of commentaries? What we need is put the results online because you told us it was going to happen. And we've engaged. I engaged. I mobilized citizens on my Twitter handle, on my TikTok handle, on my Facebook handle. I told citizens how to protect their mandate. And I told citizens they can count their vote and verify the same vote. It pains me as an individual that I lied to people. And I didn't lie to them. I used INEC verified information to engage citizens because I know that the only way to mobilize Nigerian citizens to go and vote is when they know that the process will be trustworthy and transparent and credible and an election of integrity. And truly, people turn out to vote, particularly young people who are savvy. They knew after they voted, they can protect their vote. They were all at the polling unit yesterday. They stayed even in the rain. They stayed back. It pains me that Nigerians have awakened. The voters have truly become the kingmakers. Well, we must not put the dent in the next part of the verification.
And now a small business setback is assessed by a beloved family pediatrician.
Oh, hey, Tiger. Big scary tree branch give your work truck a boo-boo? Yeah. Wow. See this thing on my phone here? It's the Progressive mobile app. Just push that little button there and report your claim. Attaboy.
When owning a small business gets painful, Progressive Commercial is here to make it all better. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
What's this? Candy drawer? Who wants a lollipop?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions. Photo claims not available in all states or situations.
Of those results on the IRF. We must get the IRF so that they can go to their polling unit and be satisfied that, yes, my result, I saw the polling unit, is what is online. I am confident that INEC is truly transparent and then Nigeria will be a greater country.
Okay, to calm it down a bit, I'm happy that you are tech savvy and like you've talked about, you did a lot of education on social media. There's a lot of talk about social media campaign also. And we've heard a lot about obedience and that's the followers of Obi amongst others. But let's talk about how the results is just one state though, but like you're saying, I'm sure you've been following from the polling units amongst others. Do you think that social media really played a role when it comes to the results that we're seeing from the elections? Is this what we're expecting?
Well, social media is both good, bad, and ugly. It depends on the place you stand. It is good because it has been able to enhance our relationship. Now you are sitting in Ghana, I'm sitting in Nigeria, we're having a conversation. Man, that's the kind of tech we're talking about. I don't need a visa to go to America to engage in a conference. That's the tech we're talking about. It's the new age. If you are not in it, you are out of it. And you are going to lose a lot. But it's also bad because people are going to use it as a medium for passing fake news, disinformation, and hate. And which, of course, is a challenge in many clients, including not just in Nigeria, but across the globe, including America. January 6th occupation of Capitol Hill was a social media effect. But it's also ugly because people now live online and they now have neck pains and back pains because of the way they engage. But to be candid, social media played a huge role in our election, in the mobilization, particularly of younger people. Before this election, there was what we call the CVR, or the Continuous Voter Registration. It was a carnival on social media. If you didn't register, it was looking as if you are not a Nigerian. It was fun online. Come on, have you registered? It was fun, and we saw the same fun coming to elections yesterday. We saw in some polling unit barbecues in Lagos. I mean, people playing chairs in Abuja. It's fun, and we need to get elections to form. That young people can be excited to come and vote, and it starts up on social media, and you put them gradually offline. Social media was critical to this election.
Okay.
That notwithstanding, that there were spread of fake news, there were spread of hate, there were spread of misinformation, but there was also the goodness of it, which mobilized citizens across the country.
Okay. Well, Mr. Igwe, thank you so much. That's Austin there. I'm very grateful that you're able to join us via Zoom. I'll wrap up with Kingsley Ozoma as well, and then my colleague, Patrick Kingsley Batsi. Then we can have that extensive conversation with Mr. Peter McMenu on what he's been observing so far and the key learnings for us as we also go into our elections next year. Kingsley, the issues about INEC and confidence and IREF and the issues that have come up, but generally, as we are expecting that by Wednesday, we should be able to get the winner of this whole elections. What would you say ought to change before that time? At least by tomorrow, we are told 11, we'll get another batch of results. What do you expect to change before that time?
Well, as the election management body, INEC really has a role, a big role for that matter to play, just like Mr. Igwe just said, because a lot of confidence were posed on INEC, okay, to deliver its mandate. But this is the first time that you see youth mobilizing to perform their civic responsibility. And just like the information being released by the Commissioner for Voter Education, that raises a couple of questions, especially in terms of technology. If, just like he said, if you test run enough circles election in a DT or so, and you'll be able to, based on that, you already know the size of Nigeria and the bandwidth of what is expected in terms of server, okay? And I could remember that mock voting was also conducted. So what happens to the server? And if you are looking at it from the state perspective, we believe that at the polling unit level, maybe they were working on local area network. We should also be able to move whatever, give them that leverage to upload their information within that polling unit to the state collation center. As we are made to understand that you have 4 levels, okay, from the polling unit to the ward level, ward to local government to the state collection center, which now ends at the National Collection Center, Abuja. So if these trends are not properly managed, because there are agitations there at the social media right now, people are losing faith, and if not well managed, it could trigger violence and something greater, more deadlier than the NSAS is more likely to happen, because what the youth, the voters are demanding for is transparency, nothing other than transparency. And INEC observers and the security agencies needs to boost people's confidence that, whatever you observe at your polling unit, you can go back tomorrow as early as 11 a.m. or possibly before to verify that these informations are accurate. Even if one's candidate could suffer the information is verified based on what occurred at the polling units. I can tell you, Nigerians are loving people. They are peace-making people. Nobody will trigger violence, but it calls for probation and interrogation when you see that maybe your rights have been trampled upon, you casted votes, and you were unable to verify and get the dividends of your commitment for taking out time. Yeah, that's why what happened yesterday and also today in terms of logistical challenges, which if you look at it from the perspective of cash scarcity, the CBN already assured the INEC that they will make provision. And that was also not enough for them to have resumed late across different polling units. For we know in Nigeria that arriving or bringing late delivery of polling materials, is also part of the strategy to disenfranchise the people. It's a technicalities often used against the opposition, where you know that this is the stronghold of your opposition. We know that the government in power, maybe at the state level, usually manipulate or control the logistics to make sure that material gets to the opposition stronghold very late. Very late, and we've been working very hard because it has its own security implications as well.
Okay, Kingsley Uzoma, we're grateful. I'm sure during the week we get to interact again, because all the way till we know who leads Nigeria as the next president. I'm indeed grateful for your time. Kingsley Uzoma is an election security management consultant, and he's joining us all the way from Nigeria. And Mr. Bassey is with us. He's also a journalist, and Mr. Peter McMenu is also with us, observing the mission right there on behalf of the Democratic Union of Africa. Mr. Bassey, I'm sure as we are on, you're still monitoring events as it happens in Nigeria. Anything has changed, you would say? And then, of course, we've been talking about logistical issues. You've been hearing confidence issues when it comes to INEC. We've been reading the INEC statement as well. But from what you're hearing as we've been on the show for the past 2 hours or so, would you say that confidence indeed has waned in INEC, and is it deserved?
Well, deserved, I cannot say, especially as a result of the nature of my job. So at this point, I'll simply report what Nigerians are saying and are sharing at the moment. And you're right to have said that, I was just peeping into my monitor and checking what exactly is happening. At the state level, collation continues in Lagos State, which has a lot of focus because the candidate of the governing party, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, reigns in this state and has held this state down for the longest. And so we've seen that the Labour Party candidate, according to the results declared in some local governments, has won at least with one local government, can confirm from the State Collation Center. And just to note, this is going to be taken by the returning officer, of Lagos to the national, where the Ekiti was announced, that's in the Federal Capital Territory of Abuja, and then we can then confirm to you what the complete result is in Lagos. Also, peeping, I saw that the collation of results has started in Adamawa State. Adamawa State is the base of the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, former Vice President of Nigeria, who is seeking to return to the seat of power. And so that also is happening there as well. And so back to the issue of confidence, I can tell you for free, Nigerians that this time, especially those in the opposition, and tons of thousands of new voters who, by the way, aside the euphoria of a third force, decided to vote in this election, also were drawn to the 2023 general elections as a result of the confidence from the Commission, from civil society organizations, and indeed the government, federal government, saying there's a game changer now with the use of the bimodal voter accreditation system, which is the BVAS. And indeed, what we saw in Ekiti, which has been referenced in this conversation, Ekiti State, Osun State, off-season elections where the portal was used, right? Although, and let me remind the entire continent, considering the platform, that at the moment there is a court judgment from the appeal court, relating to the last election in Osun State. The governor is still there, but the appeal court first was at the tribunal, the election tribunal, questioning the use of the results from the same portal Nigerians are complaining about now, from the IREF. The IREF is the INEC result viewing portal, right? And so there have been complaints around this. It's not strange that we're having this situation. And so I've heard references like, oh, why didn't we have a situation like that in Osun State? There actually is. I think they sit in March or so. The Supreme Court will have to rule on the matter as regards the election results of the governorship elections in Osun State, which happened last year. And so there is even an existing issue on the use of this portal, this results viewing portal. But let's come back to 2023 general elections. Again, maybe this is deserved. I cannot say. Nigerians are clamoring now. They feel like the results that they can see. And that's a problem also with the use of social media during elections in Nigeria. There are several results flying around. And maybe because it doesn't necessarily correspond with the results that are being announced now, by INEC, they are beginning to, the confidence is beginning to wane. It's been eroded gradually. But then again, the one factor that there's been issues, with uploading this result from the polling units to the portals has also been a major problem. And definitely, this is going to linger for a while with Nigerians complaining over and over again about the possibility of some irregularities in the process.
Okay. Well, but I'm curious about this whole directive, or should I call it, I don't know if it's a directive for the media not to put out the results as it comes in, that is only INEC that could put out results. Educate us a bit, really. How is it that the entire media in Nigeria is not supposed to put out any results whatsoever unless INEC does so?
That's fundamental, and that's because the media is not the electoral umpire, right? There is the electoral umpire. It's their job to conduct the elections and announce the result. So here's the thing: the media covers the elections, broadcasts the elections. That's you are doing, and we thank you for that, right? But it is very dangerous to begin to announce this result. I think it was Omori who was referencing that the media has not been doing that. Indeed, some media platforms have been putting out results. They've said this candidate won the social local government. That candidate is leading in this social state and the rest. We've seen that here and there, and that is very dangerous. This is what that does. The people consume that, and because of the trust in the media, right? When there's a separate result, announced by the commission, it becomes a problem. That's the people, the Nigerian electorate, begins to weigh what they've seen on various websites, social media blogs and the rest. But they weigh that against what the commission is saying, and it becomes a problem. Everywhere explodes. And so that's why it's important that we wait on the commission and, we wait patiently on them, because this could linger a while, considering the many issues around technology.
Okay. Well, Kingsley, let me speak to Mr. Peter McMinu now on some of the things that we've talked about and the observations so far on this. They're still here on The Probe. We're on the Joy News channel. We're also on Joy 99.7 FM. It's Nigeria Decides, and that's what we are focusing on. Your election headquarters right here in Ghana. Also, we are on myjoyonline.com and all our social media platforms. Shortly, I'll take some of your comments as you've posted them on our social media platforms and also on Twitter. You've been hitting us with the hashtag Nigeria Decides, hashtag election headquarters, and also The Probe. Well, Mr. McMinu, the concerns that you have raised, at least, as in putting the entire blame at the doorstep of INEC, vehemently opposed, like I said, by Mr. Austin Aigbe, for instance. But the issues about logistics, security, from the Democratic Union of Africa in terms of observations. Let's talk about security and the logistical issues and the explanations that were given. You've talked about cash, you've talked about the issues about transport, amongst others that were raised, which has also been opposed. But really, what reasons specifically were given for late voting in some polling units, logistical concerns, the snatching of some ballot boxes, the BVAS equipment, amongst others? So far, your preliminary questioning, what reasons have been given to your group? You have to unmute, Mr. McMahon. No, we can't. You have to unmute.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Much better. Thank you.
I think that the logistics and the materials delay, the INEC accepted it and responded that the time for closing, which is 2:30, will be extended for anybody in the queue when the time is 2:00. It's 2:30, sorry. So I don't think that should pose any problem for any voter, because once you are in the queue, by 2:30, the closing time for voting, you will be allowed to vote. But what is critical, and I want Mr. Egbe to respond, is I went to police units. I saw polling agents, but they didn't even have a pen or paper with them. So what were they observing or monitoring as polling agents on behalf of their candidates? I don't get it. So this IREV matter too. Mm-hmm. The IREV is the result sheets that has been captured by the beavers and transmitted on a portal for public viewing. Yeah. But when the results are released at the polling unit, polling agents are supposed to get their copies. After all, they signed the result sheets before it will be posted and transmitted on the portal. So where are their copies? Where are their copies? And I think that if they could get their copies in a smart way, in an accurate and speedily, they could challenge the Electoral Commission if any fake results are posted on the IREV.
But to the extent that the voter was educated that you will get the results after voting and everything on the IREV in real time, and that is not happening, you don't think that wanes confidence in INEC?
It does. But again, I'm also saying that to abate that, to be able to challenge INEC on that, you must get the original copy meant for polling agents at the polling unit. That is more authentic, than the one being snapped by the beavers.
Okay.
So where are the results meant for polling agents, and for that matter, for their candidates? Where are they? I haven't seen them with Nigerian polling agents because they were just standing there. They don't know what they are doing there. They have not been trained, and it's like they were recruited maybe 2 hours before the opening of the voting.
So that's what pertained with all the political parties, or just a few of them, you'd say?
All the political parties, all the places I went, the political parties, I spoke to the agents. They were there, all right, but they were not holding a pen, a paper, or anything. They were just standing there. I doubt what they were standing there for. So I'm saying that at the close of the voting, much as it is also their duty to ensure that it is uploaded, because it's part of the observation and it is part of your duties as an agent.
Okay.
Then you collect your copy, and if you collect your copy, it's not for you, it's for your principal, which is the candidate. How come Nigerians are not able to do this? It means their political parties and their campaign teams are weak in that direction. So we should not be always putting the blame on the Electoral Commission. Political parties, their management and organization, they must sit up because they lack the finesse of political campaign and how to monitor elections by agents on their behalf.
Okay. Well, but at the announcement for the Ekiti results, which you were there together with your team, the concern about the Beavers bypass came up. at least one of the political parties asked the question, because during the announcement, the issue about the BVAS bypass came up. What really is a concern there, and as observers, what have you noticed, and how come we are having a bypass of the BVAS?
Oh, you know, in Ghana, we have what we call no verification, no vote. Mm-hmm. So if you juxtapose that with bypassing the BVAS, it's the same. That means somebody were not verified and he voted. Somebody was not verified because he didn't pass through the BVAS. He bypassed the BVAS and was given a ballot paper. But the count on the BVAS will show the number of people who went through biometric verification or using the BVAS for that matter. And if that number is less than the number on the sheet, there will be some people bypass the BVAS. So when we in Ghana say no verification, no, it's the same thing as Nigerians saying if you bypass the BVAS, then it nullifies the vote. And that's what exactly happened this evening at the National Coalition Center.
But as observers, talking about the numbers when it comes to the bypass, were you not concerned about it? Because leading to overvoting, amongst others, is the concern that some political parties have raised. We know they've even issued statements raising concerns about it.
Well, if you look at the numbers that was presented by the state coalition officer for Ekiti, the highest number went to APC, 201,494, followed by PDP, 89,554, followed by Labour Party, 11,397. So the number of people who bypassed the BVAS, could that have had an effect on these numbers? If not, then cancel it. That's the meaning of ability of INEC to cancel those votes. It will not have any effect mathematically on the results. So it's cancelled. And that's how it is. No verification, no vote in Ghana is the same as you don't bypass the BVAS and get counted. No.
So that should not really be a concern to the various political parties when BVAS has been bypassed at some point.
So it's the duty of the agents to come back to it. If you train your agents, if you do a mock or a test run, all these things will come up and your agents will be smarter at the polling station than what we obtained last night.
Well,
so much more needs to be done to bring the agents and the campaign teams to a higher level.
Well, Mr. McMenu, we'll look at the key lessons because I know that you are bringing a lot of lessons in terms of what you've witnessed in Nigeria to Ghana. So we'll talk about it shortly. Please stay with me. I'll take a quick break. When we return here on the probe, Nigeria Decides, we'll continue with Mr. Peter McMenu. Please, we're right back after the break.
Every day, people have money emergencies. Ma, I need my school fees emergency. Mommy chop money emergency. Emergency. Catch it. I'm your rent emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number in town.
More money, challenge and enjoyment. At the top life we got.
Dial star 770 hash for all your money emergencies and chop life.
Dial star 770 hash for money emergencies and get easy and quick access to your money, loans, and other banking needs. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
A long ball into the penalty box right now, and number 7 receives that. He's gone past the defense. This must surely be it. Goal!
50 pesos, you can win 5,000 Ghana cedis weekly in the Betway Tap in Jackpot. Do it. Bet responsibly, not for persons under the age of 18. This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission.
They say love is blind, but with HD Plus, you can see 5 times clearer. It is the season of love, and we want to show it 5 times more. Win over 5,000 prizes when you visit our website at hd-plus.com.gh. All you need is an HD Plus number. Spin the wheel of love and win big. HD Plus, the feely experience.
That's a long ball into the penalty box right now, and number 7 receives that. He's gone past the defense. This must.
For crystal clear and thrilling podcasts and live shows, download and listen to us on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, MyJoy Online, Amazon services like Echo, Amazon Music, and Audible, Stitcher, Adom Online, Overcast, and Pandora. Take note of everything. Sign up for the multimedia digital platforms now to stay updated.
This is the probe, and the focus tonight is on Nigeria, and results have started trickling in. At least I can say that it's just for one state officially. That's for Ekiti, and as it stands now, Tinubu has 201,494. Obi has 11,397. Atiku Abubakar 89,554. That's all we could boast of now as we speak in terms of results. And as tomorrow 11 a.m. Nigeria time, we're told that's when we get the next batch of results. This is for Ekiti, and social media we know has been buzzing. Some obedience they call them, and we've been talking about Nigeria, and you've been tweeting at us. I'll take some of the tweets that you've sent so far, but most people have said that this is an election that's more like a decider since military rule for Nigeria and since 1999, and it's hoping to break that two-party states kind of race. More like this time is almost a 3-horse, or should I say a 4-horse race. And we've been interacting with a number of people in Nigeria. Kingsley Ozoma, election security management consultant, have been talking to him. We've also been talking to Austin Aigbe with Wadamos. He's a member there. We're broadcast journalist. Kingsley Basti has also been giving us updates on the situation there in Nigeria. And we have our very own Mr. Peter McMeno, a leading member of the governing NPP, and he's an election observer in Nigeria with the Democratic Union of Africa.
And now a small business setback is assessed by a beloved family pediatrician.
Oh, hey, Tiger. Big scary tree branch give your work truck a boo-boo? Yeah. Wow. See this thing on my phone here? It's the Progressive mobile app. Just push that little button there and report your claim. Attaboy.
When owning a small business gets painful, Progressive Commercial is here to make it all better. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
What's this? Candy drawer? Who wants a lollipop?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions. Photo claims not available in all states or situations.
And he's done this a number of elections, uncountable of them, and he's been giving us their perspective on what they've observed so far. Here on the probe is your election headquarters. We are live on the Joy News channel, also on Joy 99.7 FM. We are on myjoyonline.com and all our social media platforms. Also a number of affiliates dotted across Ghana's 16 regions. Mr. McMeno, in wrapping up this evening, though, I know that we are still preparing your final reports as we wait for the results. But I don't know, we've heard from the High Commissioner to Nigeria, Mr. Rashid Bawah, when we spoke to him earlier, talk about we are expecting it by Wednesday. I don't know what GUA knows. What does it look like?
According to the Nigerian electoral laws, there is no time limit as to when the Electoral Commission, INEC, declare results. I know that in other jurisdictions, like Malawi, the Electoral Commission, under their law, has up to 5 days after voting. Ghana specifically we don't have a law. But last election, the Electoral Commission itself came out with 24 hours to declare results. I think that was, I don't understand why they had to put that on their head. And it led to so many confusions because an error could not be corrected and the time frame and all that. So Nigeria, INEC is free, but there is tension. So they have to manage the tension and come out with the results as quickly as possible. Because people are looking up to them to receive the results so that the disinformation and misinformation going on social media can be put in the trash. So the official announcement must come from INEC, and that must be, I think they must speed it up a little bit so that the tension, as I said earlier, should go down.
Okay.
I expect that from tomorrow 11 o'clock, more will come in.
Okay.
Because from the state levels, we know that they are also doing their collations there. Some are almost done, some are in the process of receiving the results from the local government area and the ward level areas to enable them, add it up, and bring it to Abuja. It's fine that results are open, transparent, and they do it in a professional way such that at the end of the day, the results will be acceptable to all parties involved. That is also critical for an African elections. Because in African elections, there are too much fool about results. You know what transpired in Kenya, what transpired in Cote d'Ivoire, and what has even transpired in Nigeria here before in their 2011 elections. So the results must be quite transparent to enable all the parties accept them. This is where I agree with Austin that the IREF should work.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it shouldn't work, but that should not take away from agents and political parties what they themselves must also do to contribute to the results management.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, observing there, at least, is for us also to benefit as a country from the observations that you and your team will also engage in whilst you are there in Nigeria. So what for you then will be the key learnings that you're bringing back, at least when you go to IPAC amongst others? What would you say should be the key learnings from what you've seen with INEC? You've talked about cutting them some slack in terms of organization and preparation for this election. We have ours just in 2024.
Thank you. You know that Nigeria has 90-something million registered voters. But they close their election at 2:30 p.m. They start at 8:30 in the morning and close at 2:30. Ghana has to close our elections at 3 o'clock at IPAC. That's the recommendation we gave to the Electoral Commission, that we should close early so that we can have adequate sunlight, daylight, to count the vote and collect, rather than darkness and associated crimes and violence that may go with it. So if 93 million will close at 2:30 p.m., starting at 8:30, why can't we close at 3 latest and have enough sunlight, daylight, to do the other aspects of the election, that is the coalition and other reporting. So that is one take-up. The second one is the setup of the coalition centers. You see, people must be seated at coalition centers. And I realize that in Ghana, there are too many people going up and down in coalition rooms that normally will bring confusion and chaos. And the resulting violence will lead to so many things. So, Electoral Commission must provide seating, and only accredited people must be allowed entry into the coalition room. And I'm glad to know that in Nigeria, the coalition officer at the constituency level has the right to ask security to throw anybody away who is being disruptive.
Okay.
Who is being disruptive to throw him away. And later, if he thinks that he has cooled down, he can call him back. Because, coalition demands a serene atmosphere, and we must act in a civil way in a coalition room so that the numbers will not jump over each other.
Okay.
Yeah. Thirdly, the role of the IGP of Nigeria is commendable. He's always with the chairman of the Electoral Commission in briefings, especially those that have to deal with security. Because election security is not
the job of the EC,
part of the mandate of the Electoral Commission. So the security must come in at all times and be adequately briefed on electoral-related issues where there are areas marked as very, very, very volatile, how they are going to handle them. So I am enthused by the way the IGP is with the chairman of the Electoral Commission of INEC in giving out briefings about security and election security management. That's quite good.
Okay.
That's quite good.
Okay. Well, but
and then let me conclude also by adding vote buying. I think everybody in Nigeria who has witnessed this election will say it's an election where no vote or limited vote buying has taken place, either because of the currency swap or whatever. So it's something we have to pat Nigeria on their back, and it's something we have to take away to Ghana and stop vote buying in any form or treating of voters in any form.
Can you politicians stop?
Why not? If the law catches you here, the law catches a lot of them and they throw prosecuted and jailed.
Okay.
Why not? Yes. So it involves all stakeholders.
We'll see how you ensure. You see how you will ensure leading that and ensuring that the laws work when it comes to vote buying. But briefly,
everybody is involved.
But briefly, just before I let you off, does social media actually win elections?
Social media can never win elections. Social media cannot win elections. They can inform, and sometimes they can disinform. And as Mr. Aigbe rightly said, they can give hate messages and speeches, which is not good for society. So their ability to inform is part of campaign and campaign messaging. But the bad side of it is the disinformation and misinformation, which can lead to other bad things.
Okay, we're grateful.
We have to be careful.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Peter McMahon. Will engage further. He is acting as an observer with the DUA in Nigeria. And many thanks to all my guests for being a part of Nigeria Decides for this evening. I am Emefa Powell. For our radio audience, we have a walk with Jesus. Have a good evening. Thank you so much for your company.